Hey guys, Wolfie here with the video for the City of Final Fantasy Opera Armour Global for the 1st of December 2020. This will be information related to the stream that was earlier today for those in or near the United States. And with that, any opinion in this video is my opinion only. I will be referring to some information from the Dissidia database website because of some information that appears to be omitted, but not really. And I'll get into my thoughts on that a little bit later. So with that, there is some information inside the in-game news, which actually is related to the how do I want to word this? Related to the stream. And there is a maintenance period coming pretty soon. So with that, I will meet you all at the home screen. And that's that. I forgot to mention something. You guys are seeing me for the first time. I was actually able to better work out my settings for the recording app that I'm using. So just a little heads up. And I am back, believe it or not. So, I am actually have my notes here. So, there is a few things here and there before I go into the meat of the video. And this was mentioned in the stream, so just a little friendly heads up. And by that is that when it comes down to the January calendar preview, they may or may not have a stream on that. So, you guys definitely need to pay attention to the in-game notifications, because again, we do not know if there's going to be a stream to preview the January 2021 calendar or not. So just a little friendly heads up. This was mentioned in the stream. So with that bit out of the way, we're going to jump into a couple of items that's in the in-game news section. Let me see if I can do this without blocking my face. And success. So we're going to go into maintenance. This is tomorrow morning. And the times here are UTC, 8 to 10:30 a.m. For those of you in the Central Standard Time Zone like I am, this will be 2 to 4:30 a.m. So this is a day early. And it looks like from the stream info, we have quite a bit to go over here. And as a little bit of a treat, I'm going to be revealing something that's pretty much going to be in the January calendar, and I'll explain why that is later on. So there you have it for the maintenance period. And now we're going to go into a couple of things here pertaining to the Winter Festival. So this is it right here. So the synopsis of this is pretty much what you see here in yellow. It is the free first multi-pulls winter hunt, winter festival sales, stickers, chocobo panel missions, triple daily mission rewards, double cycle quest rewards, and another torsion to the World of Illusions Carpunkel's treasures. So we'll be seeing more information on this in a day or two. So that's what we do know for the Winter Festival. The dates I have written here in my notes, if I can, you probably hear that it's going to be from the 2nd through the 31st of December. That's UTC. And as you see in the calendar, so within the in-game news section, all of this is subject to change. So there are certain aspects of the Winter Festival where the cutoff date is going to be the 28th of December, just a little FYI. So with that bit, we're going to go into the stream rewards. And with the stream rewards, it's going to be 4,000 gems, 1 power stone, 10 armor tokens, and 20 draw tickets. And which is good. I mean, they're starting to give out a little bit more. I mean, I'm liking that. So, with that bit out of the way, we're going to go into the first wave of 8080 Awakenings. This was hyped up to some extent on the major social media platforms, notably Facebook and Twitter. And this will have a raid tied to it. So this is your first 6 characters getting their 8080 Awakening. And they are Ish from Final Fantasy IV, Vincent from Final Fantasy VII, Zack from Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, Raijin from Final Fantasy VIII, Penelo from Final Fantasy XII, and Lightning from Final Fantasy XIII. So, with this, you'll see a certain icon type right next to their faces, and those are the clusters you're going to be needing in order for the characters to go beyond 70/70. Now, the difference between this and the previous Awakening eras, if you will, is that when it came down to the 60/60 Awakening era, is that you actually could further improve the skill 1 and skill 2. Now, for the 70/70 Awakening era, you get this new ability called the additional ability, where it doesn't take up a turn count, but if you have certain buffs or debuffs are going, it's -1 turn. So that's the 70/70 era in a nutshell. Now, the thing here with the 80/80 era is a new item referred to the call ability. Now, it's going to be like an icon of the individual. In this case, let's see here. When you look at Lightning, her call ability, I know this because I follow JP via, Jet Stingray. He's my main go-to in that regard. Is that with Lightning, her call ability is her skill 1, which is Spark Strike. And I want to warn everybody, not every character will have skill 1 as their call ability. Some characters will have skill 2 as their call ability. And for some characters, skill 2, I feel, is the better one of the two. But that's a character by character basis. Now, with this out of the way, again, there is a raid involved, and the raid's called Saturnians Raid, the Tyrant Raid. And again, this will have the tier 6 clusters you need to get characters to at least Crystal Strength level 71. And like the other Awakening ears, you need 275 of the highest tier in order to get them from Crystal Strength to the max, so to speak. So, with this bit out of the way, I can announce here that Lightning will be the next person to get her LD Empress weapon. And there's a special treat with this particular raid, because not only do we see the return of the alternate costumes for Lightning and Zack, but Lightning becomes the first and so far the only DFFOO character to have more than one alternate costume. Now, the second alternate costume Lightning has is from Lightning Returns. It is the default costume you see. And then, of course, for those of you who know Lightning Returns, she has the Crimson Blitz as her weapon, so that's out of that. Now, I do want to mention here that both of the banners tied to this raid will have the free first multi-pull. And you're looking at somebody who will go after her burst and after her LD. Because Lightning is an all-time favorite female character for me. So, and the good thing here in my personal situation, in sense of resources, my burst weapon tokens are in position where I go after the next premium Mogul pass, and I have her burst weapon ready available if I only get the LD. Now, I do have a good number of tickets available to go after the LD with tickets if DP. But I'm going to try the free multi first, see where that goes. But either way, this does have the beat back challenge, and the thing is with the beat back challenge, you have to do some stuff yourself, but of course there are people who will be helping you get certain things running as soon as possible. So for this particular raid, it is the 2nd through the 16th of December, and this is all post-maintenance, all that good stuff. So with that bit out of the way, Lightning, instead of her burst weapon, she will also appear on the other two banners, one of them being the Kamala Note Lost Chapter banner, as well as a global debut of Reno for Final Fantasy VII. So the Turks are here. At least two of them. So the first character event of the month is going to be the global debut, like I just said, Reno for Final Fantasy VII. That will be the final banner where Lightning's burst weapon will be available. I have a big warning for everybody. When it comes down to Lightning's LD and burst weapon, she, like a select number of others, will have her LD at the very least returning in a future banner. Now, should Global bring back the Start Dash Banner 2.0, that's going to have Lightning's burst and LD weapon alongside Squall's and a certain other character I'll be revealing later on this video. Because the other character is related to the January calendar. So that's all I'm going to say on that. And the thing is, like I said, with Lightning, she is a sought-after character because of the overall shenanigans she's capable of doing, while keeping herself alive at the same time. That is all I'm going to say on this particular raid. But like I said, for Lightning, she will be burst synergy for the Camelot Lost Chapter. She will also be burst synergy for the global debut of Reno. I mean, I didn't really write down the dates because, I mean, I felt kind of lazy, but I'm trying to do certain things in certain ways. So that is that on that. And we're going to jump into the Dimensions in Tier 18. I believe this is the 16th of December as well. So after the Tier 18 comes live, the global, we only have 2 more tiers left. Now, what I got here in my notes, and I'm just kind of like looking at it, so I'm just like, okay, what's going on here? So for Tier 18, you definitely do not want to bring magic users into this. And the tip here they gave out is like units who have the means to do some format of paralysis, and definitely melee ranged units to bring along. So that's that on that. That's Tier 18. And again, after Tier 18 comes live to global, we only have 2 more left, and that's that on that. Now, again, the whole thing with any Lost Chapter character events going forward, before I go any further, is that they will have the means to be at 80/80, whether it be their global debut or their Lost Chapter. And this is from, when it comes to Lost Chapters, I should point this out, is that when it comes down to the 80/80 awakening, instead of like they get their awakening with the Lost Chapter, so it's going to start with Camelot, but it's going to end in Gladio. Just a little warning in that part. Now, I'm going to say this now before I go further, is that, do I think there's going to be any other awakenings after that? Me personally, I don't think so, because there's simply not, like, no room for anything else. And the only other thing I can really think of they can add is another weapon for non-main characters. But, again, we don't know, but I don't think so, and that's my personal opinion on the matter. So, with that bit out of the way, is that, like I said, we got the whole thing with Lightning, the first half. So, the 2 raid banners, you have the Camelot Lost Chapter banner and the Reno global debut. So that's pretty much the Lightning section of the calendar. Now, they mentioned this, the Heretic event, and that is coming, let me see if I can grab my notes here. Okay, so it's going to be the 16th through the 30th of December. Now, I do want to mention here, there are some characters who at this point still have yet to get their character enhancement boards. Most of them already have, some have not. So, I will mention here the following characters in the raid that's getting their character enhancement boards. Is something I kind of forgot to mention, is that sorry about that, guys. So, regarding the character enhancement boards for this particular banner synergy here, is going to be the, and this is the first, this is going to be for Edge and Pinello, because Those two do not have their character enhancement boards yet, but they will. So that's something I kind of forgot to mention here, is that because that's a character enhancement board debuts, so it's going to be for Edge and Pinello. So like I said, along them, there are going to be some others. I'm going to forget some names, but there are going to be characters where they get their character enhancement boards at long last, and I'm going to be mentioning a couple of other characters later on who will be gaining their character enhancement boards alongside their 8080 Awakening in this video. So back to the Heretic event. So we have here the following as synergy for the Heretic event later on in December. That is Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII, Gala from Final Fantasy V, Jet from Final Fantasy X, Sauce from Final Fantasy XIII, Ignis from Final Fantasy XV, and Snow from Final Fantasy XIII. So 2/3 of this particular list will have the debut of their character enhancement boards, and that being Galuf, Jet, Ignis, and Snow. Now, I won't be surprised if there's any additional alternate customs showing up here. Now, pertaining to Sephiroth and Snow, I won't be surprised if those two come along. Now, I will be surprised if they do Ignis kind of early, because Ignis does have his alternate costume on JP, but if Global decides to do a Christmas present and give us Ignis's alternate costume early, that'd be great. If not, I can wait. So that's that on that. So Sephiroth is the other Burst LD weapon unit for the month of December. And for the other banners where Sephiroth's Burst weapon will appear, I do want to point out, let me pause this video real quickly. I'm back. I actually had to get the cat. You can see him in the background. That's Sandy. I actually had to try to get him from eating a plant, which is right over there. So I was trying to get him away from the plant. So, basically, as I was saying, when it comes down to, alternate costume, if Ignis does show up early on Global, that'd be great. I can actually wait. So, I will be having the Cydia database website link in the description below, because this is where they really didn't mention much on Synergy, but I do want to point out that 2/3 of the Heretic Synergy will have the debut of their character enhancement boards. And I want to mention here real quickly that, like the Lightning banners, Sephiroth will also have free multiples, not only in the Heretic aspect of the Heretic aspect, you know, like the two banners there, but also the following Lost Chapter and character event as well. So for Sephiroth, he will be Burst Synergy for Kieran from Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, alongside the global debut of Rude from Final Fantasy VII. So you can probably you can probably see here that this is a bit of a Final Fantasy VII themed month, so to speak. But that's just me. So with that bit out of the way, I do want to mention here that, like I may have mentioned this earlier on in the video, but I want to mention it again, that there may not be a stream for January. This was mentioned in the, and they mentioned in the stream, let me reword this, is that in the stream they mentioned that there may or may not be a stream for the January calendar. So our best bet, even mine, is to look at the in-game news and just go with that. Because the whole thing with the lockdown in California, it is likely it's going to happen again. In Illinois, which is the state where I live at, we tend to follow California that way. So we may see another lockdown again in both states. So that's it on that. And with that, I'm going to give a preview of the January calendar, because in the event we don't see a stream at all. So the only preview I'm giving here is the second wave of the 8080 Awakenings, which should be early January. And the reason why I say this now is because one of the characters here will join Lightning and Squall on the Start Dash Banner 2.0, and that is Cloud for Final Fantasy VII, Celeste for Final Fantasy VI, Setzer for... Hold on a second. I don't like when my phone does that. It's like, it kind of locks certain things in place after a while. So, anyway, back to what I was saying is that regarding the second wave of 8080 Awakenings, which should be early January, it is Cloud for Final Fantasy VII, Celeste for Final Fantasy VI, Setzer for Final Fantasy VI, Rem for Final Fantasy Type 0, Waka for Final Fantasy X, and Yuri for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, with the Character Enhancement Board debut for Celeste, Setzer, and Yuri. Now, out of those 6 characters, the top 2 that's probably going to be sought after, one is the immediate, the other, they kind of trump somebody else. And the immediate is actually going to be Cloud, because he gets, from my understanding of the matter, he gets a rework of sorts, like with his 8080 Awakening. I mean, and I really had to, see video of like how the LD burst thing goes, because it's like, he's one of those characters that's fairly easy to use, and some people might be beyond that nowadays. Now, the other character who's going to be sought out is a bit of a surprise, but again, this is my video, so it's my opinion. And the second character is going to be Celeste. Now, it's not so much because of the 8080 Awakening, but not long after she gets her 8080 Awakening, she gets her LD, second rework, and an alternate costume. Now, the LD and the secondary rework that she gets should very much change how one thinks of her. Because she has a bit of a niche, with what she does, but with the secondary rework, it kind of completely changes how people think of her. At least it should, because it did for me. And you could bet your ass, once her LD and her secondary rework and her alternate costume comes to global, you could bet your ass I'm going after it. Because Celeste is my waifu. So, like I said, in case they don't bring out the January calendar via the stream, they're going to do it in the in-game notices, and this is going to be one of those pieces of information. Now, again, the whole thing here with Cloud, he joins Lightning and Squall on the second Star Dash banner, which I deem Star Dash banner 2.0. Now, if Global brings that back, that's pretty much what you're going to be seeing. Now, with that bit out of the way, pardon me for doing all this itchy stuff here. I took a shower a little while ago, and I'm trying to get some of the cat hairs out of my mouth. But my overall thoughts here is that, and as well as some tips, is that when it comes down to the free... Okay, so basically when it comes down to the free multi-pulls, continue to take advantage of those, because we're going to be getting quite a few of them. But at the same time, you got to be wise with how you go about your resources. Because there are no more ultimate, Esper trials. And we do have to wait a bit for stuff like the main story, the Divine World of Illusions. We have to wait for certain other aspects to show up before we can start farming again. And depending on how much of the game you have finished up to this point, it might become a bit more pay to play as opposed to free to play, but it also depends on your RNG and luck. I just have to put it like that. But outside of that, it's just, it does seem to be a bit of a slightly quiet month, but also at the same time, you have a decent amount of I wouldn't say there's not as much overlap, but it's like, once something ends, something else begins right away. It's not that bad in my personal opinion. It's just I just do want to point that out. And I'm a little surprised, like I said, regarding the lack of information on the tier 6 clusters. And I wish there was some information on how to attain those outside things like raids and heretic events. I wish there was something else. But you know what? It is what it is at the end of the day. Now, with the now people are mentioning, how this community is so great, and I have a question as a counter. If the default community is supposedly so great, and like I said, I'm just saying this as a counter in a respectful way, then somebody has to explain just how it took JP as long as it did to get 8 million downloads. Whereas a little bit more than 2 for global. Because if you have the low numbers, there's something more wrong with the game that people think. And you really can't say certain things without the numbers to back it up. And sadly for DFFOO, we simply lack those numbers. Now, with that being said, like I said, I am a little disappointed in Josh and Glacy because they really didn't mention about the Tier 6 clusters and how to obtain them outside raids and Heretic events. I wish there was a little bit more information on that. But outside of that, I am excited for Lightning more than anything. She's going to be my primary target for the entire month of December, and that's mainly because of where I work. Because for me, my job is more important than the game. So it is what it is. And I'm done with this video. With Wolfie here signing off. I will catch you all on the flip side.